Congressional shakeup. Repath Crockett weighs in. I'm sitting down with Democratic Representative Jasmine Crockett from Texas to discuss the major political development that's got Washington talking. Congresswoman Greene's announcement about her January 5th resignation caught a lot of people off guard. So I asked Representative Crockett for her immediate reaction to the news. What does this mean for the House? And what are the implications moving forward? Let's break it down. If you found this breakdown insightful, hit that like button and subscribe for more political coverage and analysis. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your take on this developing story.
You know what? Honestly, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. You're on the other side of the president for 1 week and you can't take the heat. Imagine what it is to sit in my shoes, to not only be on the opposite side of him, but to have people like her who are constantly fanning the flames of hate. And imagine what those threats look like when you literally are someone like me. But at the end of the day, I know that I serve the people of Texas 30. And so my job isn't to be there and necessarily do whatever is going to make the president not be on my back, but instead is to focus on making sure that I can push forward with policies that are positive for Texas 30.
Here's an excerpt from her resignation video. Take a listen.
Standing up for American women who were raped at 14 years old, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for.
So she seems to be suggesting that it is their disagreement over the release of the Epstein files that is causing this shocking political breakup. What's your response to that?
I mean, listen, he's upset with Thomas Massie, and so he's gone after him. He's upset with Boebert. He's upset with any Republican that actually signed the discharge petition. But somehow they were able to weather the storm. So, you know, this really speaks to the fact that Marjorie, who has been an instigator of a lot of this hate that we see as it relates to the MAGA movement, you know, it's just interesting that I don't know if she really fully understood how bad she was making it for other people. And now that they're doing it to her, you know, I just got to say, well, why is it that everyone else is able to stand and you can't?
Breaking. Epstein investigation expands. Late Friday night, the House Oversight Committee, which I serve on, announced we're expanding our investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I can't reveal specifics about ongoing committee work, but what I can tell you is this. There are still unanswered questions. Important ones. The scope of this investigation matters because accountability matters. We're looking at connections, failures in oversight, and how someone with Epstein's history operated for so long. This isn't about political theater. It's about getting to the truth. More details will emerge as the investigation progresses, but one thing's clear. This committee isn't backing down.
I do not at this point in time. Well, I'll say leadership is keeping it under wraps to make sure that we can hopefully not have many more obstacles. If you'll remember, we decided that we were going to put out a subpoena for Ghislaine Maxwell, and the next thing you know, the president's henchman showed up to her cell, and the next thing you know, we didn't have our sit-down talk with her, which I imagine would have gone a little differently if we had. So we're keeping that tight-lipped.
Chairman James Comer is pushing back hard. He's saying Democrats are using these files as a political weapon against the president. So let me be direct about this. Do we know what's actually in these documents? At this stage, we're working with the information available through proper channels. Here's what matters. This isn't about protecting or attacking any individual. It's about following the evidence wherever it leads. If there are connections, they need to be examined. If there aren't, that'll be clear too. The chairman can characterize our work however he wants, but transparency and accountability aren't partisan issues. They're constitutional ones. The American people deserve answers based on facts, not speculation or deflection.
Absolutely not. I mean, here's the reality. If we did have that information, I don't know that we would need it necessarily to be released. And we know that the Republicans keep saying, you know, figure out what it is the Democrats have done and make sure that you can pull out the Democratic stuff and make sure you get rid of all the Republican names. Listen, I don't really care who is in the files. At the end of the day, right is right, wrong is wrong. And if you are truly about law and order, then we should be looking for who it is that has broken the law and in what ways. And we need to better understand who potentially in government allowed for a lot of these things to take place, whether we're talking about the fake immigration paperwork that we've heard from a lot of the survivors, whether we're talking about other foreign governments that have participated and who it was that allowed for that, whether we're talking about the sham organizations, the sham modeling agencies that were nothing but a front for trafficking. We need to know whether or not they still exist in some other iteration. This is about not only making sure that the survivors get justice, but making sure that there aren't others that are going through a similar system right now.
There was a back and forth this week after you accused former Republican Congressman, now EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, of accepting campaign donations from Jeffrey Epstein. It turned out it wasn't convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. It was a Long Island neurosurgeon, Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, different person. You corrected the record. However, now the neurosurgeon is telling the New York Post that he is threatening revenge against you. He's going to donate to your campaign, so you have to admit you accepted money from a Jeffrey Epstein, if not the Jeffrey Epstein. What's your response to that?
Listen, if there's anybody else who's alive and decides that they want to donate just so that you'll be on my FEC report, I am here for it. I will take your donation, especially since Jeffrey Epstein is now deceased. I don't think that it will be confusing whatsoever that it was not him, unless he's come back from the dead. So we'll see.
Texas Senate race decision coming soon. There's been a lot of speculation about whether I'm jumping into the Texas Senate race to challenge Republican Senator John Cornyn. So let me give you a straight answer on where things stand. Yes, I met with pollsters this week. And yes, the numbers are encouraging. Surprisingly so. Here's what the data shows. Head-to-head against Attorney General Ken Paxton, we're performing really well. Against Cornyn, we're within the margin of error. That's significant in a state like Texas. But here's the reality. Polls are just one piece of the puzzle. You need infrastructure, resources, and a team that can execute. We're evaluating all of that right now. The Republican side is in complete chaos. Cornyn has served Texas for decades, but the question isn't whether he's experienced, it's whether he's MAGA enough to survive his own primary. Would we rather face Paxton than Cornyn? Strategically, sure. But the polling tells me we can win either way. Final decision, coming by Thanksgiving. The only reason I'm seriously considering this race is because the data says it's winnable. And if I run, I'm running to win. If you want to stay updated on this decision and more political developments, I'm Insights Brief. Hit that like button and subscribe. Let me know in the comments. Do you think Texas is ready to flip?